All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to MoveIn Live 2023. I'm excited to visit with you tonight about getting ready to make campus your new home. So students and parents, we're going to zip through what it looks like to move in this year. We know a lot of y'all probably have dual screens on with us on one and LSU baseball on the other. So go Tigers. So we love that. We know our guys are doing well in Omaha. But I'm Catherine David. I work here in residential life and work on the MoveIn Committee with my colleague.
Hi, I'm Kate Gannon-Conman. I also work here in residential life, and I'm excited to talk more about Move-In Day and what that means for you as you prepare to bring your child to campus.
So some housekeeping things first. Of course, Kate and I are here to answer your questions until they are all done and all answered. But behind the scenes, we have an awesome team working as well. So we have Ricky on our production team. He will make sure that this is recorded and posted on social media later. Not tonight, but later this week, we'll make sure to get it out to you. We also have our friends Mallory and Adeline who are monitoring our Q&A sections. So if you have any comments or questions, you can put those in the Zoom Q&A or on our Facebook Live in the question boxes down there as well. So they'll feed those to us and make sure that we answer all those questions while we talk through the process of what movement at LSU looks like. And then at the end, we'll just do an open Q&A and make sure we hit all those points. Okay, you ready?
I'm ready, let's do it.
All right, let's go. So first things first, tonight's conversation is really going to primarily focus on the first year move-in experience. So our incoming Tigers coming to campus as freshmen. So move-in for them is August 11th, 12th, and 13th. That's a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So this presentation again is mostly going to focus on those first year students. We will highlight a little bit for our upperclassmen. We don't want to leave out our sophomores and above that live in our on-campus apartments, but our first year students move in, so then they can participate in Welcome Week. It's that last part of your orientation. So you move in the weekend of the 11th, 12th, 13th, you have Welcome Week the next week, and then our upperclassmen start to move in essentially during the freshman Welcome Week and to get ready for classes on that Monday. Where we are now in the process, should we just jump straight into some dates? Because I know we like to mark our calendars and make sure we have everything queued up and our reminders set. So where we are now for first year students, final room assignments are being made currently. So if you don't have your room assignment yet, it's okay. Our team is working on those and we will post them on June 30th, so at the end of the month. We don't have wait lists for first year buildings. I think that's a big question we get, like, can I get on the wait list for Camellia, or can I get on the wait list, for Miller? And the answer is just we don't have wait lists. We are so popular at LSU that we have, most of our spaces are full. And so if you are interested in a change, you can certainly email our team to see what's available. But just to manage those expectations, unless it's like a one-to-one swap, we might not have a whole lot to offer you, if anything. So if you know, like, hey, I'm agreeing to switch with my friend's roommate down the hall so that we can, be with our preferred roommates, we can make that happen. But just finding a single space or a space for you and your roommate to stay together in a more preferred building might not be a feasible, as we move through the end of the summer, So we have our room assignments, and the next thing that you're going to do is pick your move-in arrival appointment. So we're going to open that software July 5th at 1 o'clock Central Time, and it'll be open for about 2 weeks. So it'll be open through July. It's already. Can you believe it? It's already. So that'll be open July 5th through the 19th. So that's when you'll be able to go in and select your move-in appointment. We have those appointments again Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. When you select your move-in arrival time, that is also when you will submit any loft preferences for your bed. So when you arrive on campus, most of our beds are the loftable kind where you can put your a futon or your desk beneath it. And so those are usually set to the midpoint height. That's kind of the default, but we will have an option on the move-in arrival appointment software where you can ask to have your bed lowered to the lowest point or raised to the highest lofted point. So that way our team can do our best to get those done ahead of time. So fewer of you are waiting at move-in for us to come and adjust your beds. So that'll be available in that process as well. Another big thing is July 12th, and then you know all about this operations.
Yes, so we really want to encourage folks to make sure you're getting those Tiger Card photos uploaded. The Tiger Card office will be sending out tons of information. I'm sure you've already gotten some of that if you've come through some of the Bengal bound pieces as well. But that deadline of July 12th really allows us and our operations to get those Tiger Cards and those photos in so that your Tiger Card can be mailed to you and plenty of time for you to have that before you arrive at campus. It's vital that you have that Tiger Card because that's what helps you get into your buildings. And eat that week at the dining hall. And so we really want to make sure that you are fed and housed and having those Tiger Cards with you. So when you get them at home, make sure that's the first thing you're packing in that wallet for your new Tiger as you come to campus.
Yeah, good advice. The other thing you want to make sure you pack when you are coming to campus will be your arrival time hang tag. So whatever your arrival appointment is that you choose, we will email digital hang tags to you early in August. I believe I have August 4th as the date right now. And so we will email those to your LSU email address and make sure you have access to your LSU email account. And you'll be able to print those out and have them ready to go for move-in. We can mail them to you if you need physical copies mailed to you. So just email our team and we can get that, or email or call, and we can get those sent over to you so we can, you can get them in your car and get ready to go. Okay, I think that was kind of a quick nuts and bolts about where we are. So what we're gonna do now is take an overview look at move-in from start to finish, from how you'll experience it, and then we will kind of take it and break it down section by section, okay? So let's roll that video and we can take a look and then we'll talk some more.
Welcome to LS. Welcome to LSU. We're so excited to welcome you to your new campus home. Let's take a look at what to expect during your move-in day to help the process go as smoothly as possible. Before you arrive on campus for your move-in appointment, place your move-in day tag on your car's rearview mirror. 2 hang tags will be emailed to your LSU email address in early August. Your hang tag is what allows you to drive on campus during move-in and helps LSU police get you to your first stop, so don't leave home without it. Your move-in day starts at the staging lot. You can bring a maximum of 2 vehicles to the staging lot, and each vehicle will need their hang tag for entry. When you arrive at the staging lot at your move-in arrival time, a volunteer will exchange your hang tag for a building hang tag. Then, you'll wait your turn while others ahead of you are moving into their residence halls. Once it's your turn to go to your new LSU home, you'll be directed to your building from the staging lot. Make sure your building tag is displayed correctly, so volunteers can help direct you as you drive through campus. After you arrive at your building, you'll have 15 minutes to unload your car. Make sure all boxes and bags are labeled with your last name, room number, and item number. This helps the move-in crew direct any lost items to the right location. Once you unload, make your way to your community's front desk with your Tiger Card to officially check in to your room. A family member or friend needs to stay with your car during check-in. And remember, if you're bringing a car to campus, you must be in a resident lot, green, zone 3, when campus reopens on Monday at 8 a.m. You and your guests are welcome to park in any legal spot during move-in, regardless of type, but campus returns to normal operations Monday. Once you're moved in, snap your final selfie, say goodbye to your crew, and head on in to meet your RA and new neighbors. In the meantime, complete your packing list, check your move-in arrival time, and get ready for your Tiger experience to begin. Welcome home to LSU.
Great. Well, that is move-in day at a glance. So let's talk first about what that arrival time process looks like. So we mentioned earlier that you'll be able to select your arrival time and date. So that process is going to happen July 5th through the 19th. and you'll log on and select your move-in date and time. So we are going to email that link to you. We'll also post it on lsu.edu/move-in day. So we don't have that right now to give to you, so you can't kind of go and preview it. But we're gonna make sure that we email that out the morning of the appointments open, and we're gonna post it on our webpage, so that way you can access it there. And so what you'll do is you'll simply just log in, you have to pick your date, you pick your time, it's based by building, and that is when you get to arrive on campus. I know you wanted to talk a little bit more about the details of that, to make sure we get it done correctly.
Yeah, so one of the reasons why we kind of spread this out over 2.5 days or so is that we're making sure everybody isn't arriving all at the same time, right? And so we spread those out and have folks kind of control to this bigger lot, as you can see, as you saw through the video, and we'll talk a little bit more about what that means for you specifically. It allows everybody not arriving at the same time, because campus roads and the loading zones, you know, can only handle so many cars in terms of our infrastructure, and so we want to make sure that we've set these times and they're tried and true to really maximize the flow to and into the buildings as folks are getting here and arriving with their students. And so we've done the math, and we figured out like how many folks can fit comfortably on campus in those unloading zones. Measure about how the average width of a car, and kind of space out how many can unload in these spaces, and then really assign those move-in day slots by that. So when you get in there and start picking your time for your building, and you see there's only so many slots per hour, that is to maximize that traffic flow, so that we're not having 300 folks all move in at the junction at the same time, and causing complete chaos on campus.
Right, we don't want to cause chaos on campus. I think that's the main goal of
Right,
movement.
unless it's a parade, then great.
Right. Even a parade is an operational and logistics, down to the minute. And we really do. Our move-in committee works all year to plan move-in, down to the minute, down to measuring how many cars can fit in front of the LaVilles to unload. So the best advice we can give you is really just follow our instructions, listen to our staff. We've done it so many times, we have it down to a science. And so when we tell you the things that you need to do, select your move-in arrival time, submit your bed loft preferences, arrive on time, follow the signage. We have it all ready for you. If you just do those couple little things to follow instructions, it's gonna be a smooth day for you. Of course, there'll be hiccups every now and then, but that's what we're here for. We'll deal with those and hope that you can just have a celebratory experience with your family, because that's what we want. So we talked about the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We haven't talked about the Friday date, have we?
A little bit, right?
Okay, so let's go into more about that.
Yeah, so our Friday, the 11th of August, is that first opportunity for folks to move in. And what that is it's a $200 early arrival charge for selecting that Friday appointment. It's an early arrival day, it's a half a day, so we set that kind of in the later afternoon, and that's so that we can allow our summer graduates to graduate that morning, right? And exit them and bid them farewell to Baton Rouge and then welcome those new Tigers. So it's a lovely cycle of life here on that Friday. And so graduation meeting that morning, we'll start those a little bit after lunch. And so there are some limited appointments there. No one is required to move in that day, especially with that arrival fee, but it does allow a little less traffic and a little bit more time for folks that are wanting that and needing that experience. And so the fee goes on your fee bill after you, and we bill that after we get through move-in day, and we kind of suss out who arrived and things like that. And so those are going to be limited appointment options by building. Same experience in terms of coming to a large lot and then following the path along those instructions. The lovely website that Catherine mentioned, that lsu.edu/move-in. And so, but it's just a little bit earlier day. So if you need to get in on Friday, for your travel plans or whatever, that would be a request that you would make when you sign up, knowing that comes with that $200 early arrival fee.
Yeah. When you select your move-in arrival appointment, we mentioned that it's by building. And so there are a certain number of time slots for each building throughout the day. And so if you do change buildings over the summer, we will have to change your move-in time, because we can't overload the roads and the unloading zones. So just be prepared that if you do get a room change, we'll look to see if we can make an even swap and put you at the exact same time. If not, we'll reach out to you and say, hey, we need to make an adjustment here. What other times are you available? So just know that as you ask for those room changes. Another thing that you'll be able to do is select or submit your bed loft preferences during the arrival appointment selection. So again, we talked about most of them are, default at midway, And then we have a lowest option and a highest option. So we have some images on the screen right now that kind of show the high option and the low option. So the highest point is about 55 inches from the ground to the bottom of the mattress. The lowest point is about 27 inches from the ground to the mattress frame. And just as an FYI, most of the furniture in the rooms, like the desk, the dresser, those are 33 inches about. So if you put it at that lowest point, you won't be able to put, like, you know, if you have a chest of drawers or something like that under your bed. You can still use it as storage though. You might have some of those, you know, those
More flatter boxes.
yeah,
or
those plastic
covered in.
tubs, yeah. But you won't be able to put your furniture under the bed. So some of our friends like to loft their bed, put their desk beneath it, like is shown in this picture. Because then it kind of gives you some more floor space, you know. And so if your building does not have loftable beds and they have a different type of furniture, you won't see this option on the in your process. So don't worry, we have it automated to where if you don't have this furniture, you won't see it. So that's why you might skip it.
And it's really important to get those loft requests in, so that way when you arrive, the bed's set up, so you can get in there and really start unloading and making that your new home. Because you know, it's a really big part of the experience, with family that's there. And we really don't want folks trying to loft those beds on their own and accidentally breaking something or injuring themselves, and we don't want that to have to carry a whole tool belt here, right? And so it's really why we have that loft request. It allows our staff to help avoid those, and then any emergency needs that we need that day, we of course have staff on campus to help make those dreams come true too.
Dreams come true.
Yeah.
A magical experience. So yeah, our custodial team is fantastic. Of course, they're super busy getting ready for opening for y'all to all arrive. And so if we can't get to every single request, we apologize in advance. We're going to do our absolute best. Also, keep in mind, if you request that your bed is lofted and your roommate doesn't, then they get there before you and take the lofted bed, you know, just put in a work order at your front desk and we can come and adjust the other bed. But we do our best to make to get them all right for you ahead of time. But our crew is there on site to address any things that come up while you're moving in. Let's see, want to talk about the 90 minutes?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Okay, so when you are going in there and you're picking your time slot, those time slots are 90 minutes. And before folks panic of, oh my gosh, how am I gonna do all that? Most parents say it takes about 2 to 3 hours to pack all that lovely stuff and label it and get it all just carefully curated in the car, and about 9 minutes to unload it and get it out, right? And so this is how long, this 90-minute move-in appointment is how long we budget for you to be able to get to the staging lot, get through the staging lot, listen to some awesome jams, see our staff out there dancing and having a great time, and then get to your building, unload those belongings, and then move your car so the next tiger can roll up and then start unloading. And so it's really about getting your stuff and getting there and unloading it and getting into the room, and then you can hang out as long as your tiger would love you to be there and help set up those things and get those last couple meals in. And so it's not 90 minutes to get everything set up. It's 90 minutes to get through the lot, get your stuff unloaded out of the car, move that car out of the way, and then spend the day, really kind of getting that new home set up for your tiger. So we just want to make sure that we're keeping that flow going in those unloading zones, because those zones are really meant to be about 15 or so minutes of get in there, get it out of the car, move the car along, and then go on in there and get everything set up and ready to go. That allows us to move pretty swiftly through those. So if you have an 8 a.m. move-in time, you may not get to your building until about 8:30, 8:45. And so we just ask, once you get there, get your car unloaded and then move along so we can get that next time slot started in time. But we usually move pretty swiftly, and like Catherine said earlier, right? We've done this, we've kind of time tested a bit, and continue to make those marginal improvements every year to make the just a lovely experience for our folks.
Yeah. So when you're thinking about your move-in time, a couple of good points to reiterate. Think about, are you driving that day? If you're coming from Shreveport, do you really want to pick an 8 a.m. move-in time? Because you get to drive 4 hours or so. So you're gonna spend the night before, or you're gonna drive down, so maybe pick an afternoon time. It's gonna be hot no matter what time of day you come, right? It's August, it's gonna be hot. It will probably rain at some point. We can't predict which time slots might have a little rain in there. But think about, if you're gonna stay in a hotel, when is check-in time? When is check-out time? If you're coming from the airport, roundabout when your flight might land, things like that. So we want to make sure that you're not just trying to go for the earliest spot no matter what, because it might not actually work with your plans. Some people really prefer to move in later in the afternoon, and that's fine. I think all the times have their benefits, but no matter when you come, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, you're gonna have that same experience of going to the lot, going through the staging area and then going to your building. So that will remain the same no matter what day you come in.
Right, and really know yourself, know your family, right? If you need to tell your family like, yeah, we signed up at 10 o'clock, when really you signed up at 11:30, because that is when they will actually be ready, then, do whatever you need to do. But really kind of figure out what kind of experience in terms of what kind of experience for the day that you're wanting. Gas is, you're ready to go, water, we've portable restrooms out in the lot as well, so when you get there, you have been really hanging in there to make sure you make your time, we got you out there. But yeah, really kind of figure out what that is if you're coming from out of state, when those arrivals are, maybe kind of a little bit of buffer for travel time, any flight issues.
Yeah. And we get things happen, and we're gonna work with you as best as we can. We just have to make sure that we're not overloading the staff at the buildings or the roads on campus. So we're gonna work with you, of course, especially if we have our friends who maybe, we have friends who come in Ubers or taxis, same thing. We wanna make sure that we get you up the help lane and, get you into the process so you're not sitting there waiting, adding up charges and charges and charges. So let's see. Oh, the arriving early, that's where it reminded me just now. So talking about selecting your move-in time, and you'll get your hang tag with that move-in time on there. So if it says 8 AM as your move-in time, the earliest that we would let you into the staging lot at all is 7:45. So we say to arrive no earlier than 15 minutes before your actual time. I know it's hard to kind of judge that maybe with traffic and you never know what's gonna happen. But if you come before 15 minutes, if you come more than 15 minutes before your time, we will loop you out to the early bird exit. And we can show you where that is in just a second, but just try to look at that timing where, the LSU police and LSU parking are doing their best to keep River Road clear, and not backed up with traffic. So when you arrive, we'll snake you into kind of a pre-staging lot within that 15 minutes and then start the process. But just know that if you come outside of your time, whether it's before 15 minutes or after your move-in time, they will send you up our kind of help lane where we can kind of figure out what we're gonna do. The other thing is when you do arrive at the staging lot, each student has how many cars max?
2 cars max.
2 cars max.
Yeah, we really want you to think about, what are you bringing, what types of cars you're bringing. If you're bringing a large truck or a moving truck, when you pull in, when we pull you into the actual staging lot in our welcome lanes where our staff will trade you out those hang tags, we'll talk about in a minute. If you're in a large vehicle, we want you to go all the way to the right so you can, it doesn't go under the tent, right? You wanna make sure you're clearing that,
You make
clearing
sure.
that height. But yeah, it's 2 cars, so if you do need a 3rd car, say you're packing up 2 cars and then your student's car is, that 3rd car, we're gonna ask you to park in those satellite lots, or even we have some kind of satellite lots near the staging lot. Grab that human out of that car, put him in a different car, and then those 2 cars are the ones that are gonna go to the building, and you can come back and get that car later in the evening after the day, the day's appointments are finished. We're really, that 2-car limit allows us to move this process so that everybody is having an equitable experience and moving through and not sitting forever, and not taking up too much space.
Yeah. So when you get to the staging area and LSU police and parking are on River Road, checking your hang tags. So if you have the time that, we tell them, okay, these are allowed in now, they'll let you through. If not, they'll send you to us in the help lane or out the early bird exit. And so all of our first year students start in that staging area off of River Road. It's lot 412, it's directly across from the vet school, but you enter off of River Road. We'll have lots of signage, so you cannot miss the entrance, we promise. You're gonna find it, no problem. But we also have some maps we'll share later, so if you wanna look ahead before you arrive to get comfortable with the route. But you have to go to that staging area first as a first year student. That is not the case with our 2nd year students and above. That second weekend, they'll go straight to their buildings. But for all of our incoming first year students, that 11th, 12th, 13th, you have to go to that staging area.
Right, and that allows us to kind of control that traffic in and out of campus and make sure that you're not just sitting and for hours, right? You need to hang out in this lot, like we said, we're making a party out there. You have a beautiful view of Tiger Stadium, we're right behind the softball park as well. And that allows us, again, to kind of control how many folks are going there. Those upper class students know their way around campus a little bit more, so that next Thursday, Friday, Saturday, when they're moving in, they can go straight to the buildings and they'll still do it by appointment, so we can kind of control the numbers. The flow looks quite different at that point.
Yeah. So you will pull into the staging lot, you'll pull up to our welcome tents, our colleagues, our family.
Volunteers, yep.
We will greet you there. We will again swap out your hang tag. So we'll take your one that has your arrival time and we'll ask, hey, what building are we headed to? And you'll say,
Herget.
Hergé, so you're going to Herget. And so then we will give you your Herget tag and we will say, hang it on your rearview mirror with the letters facing out, right? So, because that's how our staff knows where to send you. So we will give you that Herget hang tag, and then we will send you into the corral to sit and wait there until you are ready to go to your building to unload. Wristbands, I didn't mention wristbands.
Yeah, so when you roll up to that welcome lane and our staff are greeting you with a lovely smile, they're gonna be some cold water,
Mhm.
that hang tag that's specific for your building, and then also some wristbands for as many folks as you have coming with you to unload. And we have different colors for each day, and that just kind of allows us to monitor some of those safety pieces of
Mhm.
who shouldn't be here. Because we do try to have some of the buildings set to open during this time, because we have so many staff around. And that allows us to, know who should be coming and going and who maybe isn't, part of this experience for today. And so we'll ask you to put those wristbands on for that day and then to, take them off. When you get to the building, those building hang tags, we'll collect those as you roll up to unload. It's really important you don't think that those are parking permits, because they're not.
Right.
They're specifically for move-in day. So sometimes we'll see folks, no, I need this until my parking permit comes in. That's not a parking permit. We promise parking and transportation, we'd let you know that. And so that is really just for you to be able to get through the traffic flow to the building, right? And so our parking and police officers that are out there directing folks will know, okay, you have that HGT on there for Hergé. So we know that you should be coming through this lane and entering here. And then as you roll up and get your 15-minute unloading sticker, they'll take that hang tag from you. And then when you're done, you'll move your car over to those satellite lots. So that's how that hang tag, the life cycle of the hang tag.
The life cycle of the hang tag, nice. Yeah, so make sure we have those, because that's how we tell you where to go. And that helps things move efficiently as well, right? Our police and parking are lovely people, but on this day, the word is efficiency in that lot. And so if you roll down your window and chat, they're gonna just say, okay, keep going. But we can meet them later on in the buildings.
And on those hang tags too, we're working to have some, QR codes that'll help direct you back to that move-in day website. And so on that website, really stick to those arrival times when you sign up for that. We know you might want to come out and scope it earlier, or things like that. We're out there at sunup. There's always a very prepared dad out there ready to kind of pre-drive it. You can totally do that on the website as well. And so we built that all around capacity limits for roads and unloading zones. And so you can literally click on, you're in the lot, and you click on Evangeline, and it'll show you the route that you're going to take from the lot all the way over to Evangeline. And then we're also working to add some of those exit pieces. Okay, now that you're done unloading, here's where you go and park your car for long term, and then walk on back and get everything ready to go. And so really that moving website is going to be your best friend now. And as you're getting ready, and on the day of when all that stuff goes out of your head, everything's just so exciting. So.
And talking about the routes, especially for our local friends, if you look at the route from the staging lot to your building, you might think, well, that's weird. There's a much shorter way to get there. And yes, you're probably right. But we do that intentionally with planning with LSU police and parking, so that the routes don't cross each other, so that everybody can get to the unloading zones in the quickest way possible. So just know that you're gonna be required to follow those routes, right? You can't try to cut through and take your normal route to get to a building, because everything's gonna be barricaded off. So just know that, yes, the routes might look a little weird, but we did that on purpose.
Right.
We are refining a couple routes too. So we're gonna make a few changes to what's currently on that LSU campus map. And once those updates are complete, we'll make sure to email those out to our students living in those buildings, or all the buildings, you'll get it. But so that way you can check those routes and make sure you know how to get to your building. If you don't look at it at all, it's fine. It's totally fine. We'll have signage along the way that will clearly mark where you need to turn or where you need to go. There's a lot of construction on campus right now too. So that is just kind of a heads up, again, if you're used to campus, if you're from Baton Rouge or maybe an alum, that some of the roads that you're used to going down might not be available before and after move-in because of that campus construction. Yeah. All right, we talked about the lot a lot. We've talked about the lot a lot. Let's go ahead and see what it looks like. Let's drive through it together, and so you can get an idea of what you'll experience. All right, so we are arriving to the check-in tent. We've arrived at our correct time, no more than 15 minutes before.
We got our hang tag, we're ready to go.
That's right. So we're ready, set, going. So you can see our awesome staff here and the building flags. So depending on what your hang tag says, like if you had McVoy, our team would flag you in to go into that corral and sit there and wait for the McVoy line we'll wait until there was a spot for you to unload at McVoy, and then you could drive there and go. So you see we have the half of the buildings that are lined up in the back, and then we're gonna make the turn and we'll go to the front. It's quiet now, but it's a lot more fun out there.
It is, it really is. The playlist is on point.
Yeah.
Our staff are out there having a great time. And really, it's a lot of our student staff members that are gonna be RAs for your Tigers that are out there. And they're really, they love being in the lot. They love hanging out and flagging folks down. And you'll see all these kind of post barricades here, these like yellow kind of posts, you see them. And those will kind of help make those lanes for you. And so those corrals that Catherine's talking about, when you pull into that, that corral. You can see we are moving and grooving in the lot all day long. So yeah, so as you make this turn, so this is the front half of the lot. Some of our larger buildings will be up in that front half. When you pull into that corral, there'll be like two kinds of pieces of those post barricades, those kind of tall things. And we'll have some spray painted lanes as well. We really try to make those about 3 lanes wide in those corrals, so that we're staging and loading as many cars in there as we can to make the lot flowing as well. So it feels like a lot of like I'm waiting in a line, getting in a line, getting in a line, and that's just amusement park line management.
There you go.
It is a big old Disney World here. And so we just want to make sure that folks are flowing and moving and inching and inching. And so we will ask you to come in and, our staff will kind of be like, here, come all the way over to the left as you go into those corrals.
Yeah.
So you can see here on this drone footage too, these cars are rolling up in that front lane and lining up behind each other. And we promise we will dismiss you in order, right? If you're like, well, I don't want to get all the way to the back here because you're going to let that other one go first. Our volunteers are great, they know what they're doing, they'll get you out and get you where you need to go.
Yeah, great. So we leave the staging lot and we head to our buildings and you go to your unloading zone. So this, you mentioned earlier that, being swift in your unloading zone is key to the whole process kind of going smoothly. You have a 15-minute unloading zone time. That is not 15 minutes to decorate your room and everything, as Kate talked about earlier. So when you arrive to your unloading zone, one of our friendly team members will greet you and say, hi, welcome. I'm writing down the time that you started, what's your cell number, what's your room number, and they'll put that in your car. And so that way, as we kind of look around and we're like, okay, we're not moving as quickly here. Oh, look, Jared's car has been here for 20 minutes. We need to get him and get him to move in. But what we really want you to do is what? Somebody to stay with.
We love somebody to stay with your belongings as you unload them, right? We don't want anybody's stuff getting kind of taken into the wrong bin or whatever, or moved in the wrong space. So it's really about, here's all of our stuff, you stay here with the stuff, you go move the car, student goes in and gets their key and checks in.
Yeah.
And then they grab a moving bin from the lobby, just upgraded all of those, are gonna be wonderful. And so, and then get all the stuff loaded in there, bring it on in, and then everybody can stack in and then help decorate. And that you can take the time that you need to do that. But yeah, it's really about getting those cars gone, and so everybody else has some more time to get in there.
And so when you leave that unloading zone, and Kate mentioned earlier to go park in, satellite lots around campus, away from the residence hall because more people are moving in. We're going to add to our maps this year more information about where to go, which parking options are available, so that you're not just driving around aimlessly if you don't know campus. So we're going to add that information to our maps to help you. Another thing is, people move in Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So if you're one of those Friday people and you park your car closer to the building, we're gonna ask you to move it so then those Saturday people moving in and the Sunday people moving in can have the same experience that you had. So just know that if you do choose to move in arrival time on Friday or Saturday, we're gonna remind you, hey, if you moved your car closer to the building, let's say after move-in is over. What's our last appointment time is 6 to 7:30ish. So if after 7:30 you move your car, let's say you go to Target, you come back and you get to park close to the building, we're gonna want you to move your vehicle to a satellite lot so that way we can have our smooth operations for the next day or two. So just know that we'll have our RAs out there reminding people, putting notes on cars. Just so again, if we all do our part, it makes it go smoothly for everybody. So we'll be out there reminding you of that. Another thing, talking about leaving and coming back, is whether you arrive Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, let's say y'all finish moving in and you wanna go get lunch, or you wanna, you forgot some hangers, you need to run to the store and get some hangers. That's fine, but just remember, just because you're done moving in, we still have hundreds of other people moving in the rest of the day. And so if you leave campus and drive back, the worst thing is to get stuck in moving traffic when you've already done it, right? It's so frustrating. So we wanna make sure you know that you will have to park further out and walk to your building. You're not gonna be able to go through those unloading zones again, because we're gonna take your hang tag when you finish unloading during the actual process. So just keep that in mind to kind of minimize frustrations. If you do leave campus, that's fine, but just know that you might want to come back later at night, or just be prepared to walk from a little bit further away while our other timers are moving in.
And that would be my advice really, is when you can see, you sign up for those moving appointments, that last one's at 6 o'clock, like, okay, mental note to myself, if we're gonna go out and run errands and grab lunch, we're gonna do that a little longer and then come back after that 6 o'clock piece, so that, right, you're not taking basically a spot from somebody else in that move-in flow that signed up for that spot because you went out and got McDonald's and wanted to come back with it, right? And so it really is about, like, it's a community experience. And though you have that 2-car limit, like, you can have more than 2 people help you get your stuff set up in your room. You may wanna think about like how many folks and the size of your room as you're looking at those layouts on our website, which can show you those different bed options and what your layouts will look like. But we don't have a limit necessarily on how many guests, because they're just coming in and going. We do have some occupancy limits as we get a little bit later into the year. But on moving day, it's really like bring the folks that are gonna be there to help celebrate and get your stuff set up. But just keep in mind, right, it's only those 2 cars that can get there, right? And you can't make a bunch of trips to go back and get them and forth. So, just plan that out. But yeah, we'll give you as many friends as you have friends.
Right, and so if 2 cars come to the lot and you say we have 9 people with us, but only 3 are in the car, that's fine, we'll give you wristbands. But that 3rd car, again, we'll have to either go park somewhere else and meet you at the building, or if you do come to the lot together, we will make 1 car exit the lot. We don't like to be the mean person, but we have to keep our efficiency ratio. And so you can only have 2 cars on the lot, but you can have as many guests as you want. We get people want to celebrate, but know that it might be better for Aunt Sally to go park near the UREC and then just meet you in front of Miller to help you unload and come celebrate. So kind of making some of those plans ahead of time. Yeah. Let's see, so we talked about unloading. Kate mentioned we have these great new move-in bins this year, super sturdy. You can still bring a dolly or a hand truck or a wagon. Those are always helpful to bring. Just make sure you label it with your name or room number, so that way if it gets misplaced, we can always return it to you. Labeling your items is really helpful too. When you unload your car onto the curb, if you put M Tiger 217, Herget, something like that, your name, your last name, your room number, so that way if something gets misplaced, again, we can get it to the right spot.
And if you're in those lower floors, even some of our buildings that don't have those elevator pieces in them, those big tote bags, I've seen them on some of the parents.
IKEA bags.
Those IKEA
They're the
bags,
best.
big, we see it like they have the zipper box
Yeah,
bags,
you can zip
that you
them.
can just kind of anchor up. There's little pampered chef ladies, those big bags. I have 2, they're amazing bags for moving. And so especially like you're not wanting to wait for an elevator if you're on the 2nd floor and you're able to get those stairs, or most of you are, some of your stuff is. Those are great options as well, for that I know folks have recommended and used a lot, so.
Yeah. And buildings with elevators, just know that it's elevators up, stairs down is how it functions, to ability level, right? Of course, we do have, you can take the elevator down if you need to, but for most folks, if you can go elevator up, stairs down, that kind of keeps the flow going in those tall buildings.
And we do, with ability in mind and access, we do keep a lot of those ADA spaces near the buildings open. So in terms of like, okay, well, my family's here, going and parking and walking it really isn't an option for us for who we have with us. And so we do have those spaces available as long as you have like an issued ADA tag.
And the license.
And the license.
So we get to the unloading zone and we unload the car, student goes in, again, make sure you have that Tiger card. If you haven't uploaded your photo for your Tiger card, do that by July 12th. And then you can either pick it up when you're here on campus for orientation, or the Tiger Card office will mail it to you. But after July 12th, you will have to pick it up on campus. And so we just want to reiterate how important it is to get that ahead of time, just to make it a smooth process for you checking in,
Right, and I mean, long gone are the days of having to suffer for whatever picture you took when you were on campus, right? Pick that best selfie you can and get on the tiger card, and that is your picture for the next 4 to 5 years. Good for you. You know, I got some stars online and I wish I had that option. So really spend time, right? Get that done because that is your key to the building, really. And in a lot of our buildings, that's your key to your room too, not just the exterior of your building. And so you really want that when you get here. Though we have temp cards in a pinch, those don't work at the dining halls, and so right, they're just access cards for the building. So you really want to make sure that you're bringing that tiger card. Hit that up front with your hang tab to make yourself a little like day of couch.
Right. I love it. All right, a couple of last kind of high points, and then we'll dive deep into all your questions. So again, you arrive in time to get to know your neighborhood, right? Get the last part of your orientation ready, done for welcome week. It's a really great week. It's very informative, very fun. And so we want to make sure that you're here for that. If you cannot make it for move-in 11th, 12th, or 13th, you have to get that late arrival approval from the Office of Orientation. So once you have that, then we'll be able to try to schedule a later arrival time for you. Another great resource is our Living on Campus handbook. You hear us talk about it at orientation a lot, but it is going to be your go-to resource for all things. What can I bring? What can I use to hang things on the wall? What can I not? It's linked on our move-in page. It also is on its own. Has its own page. Oh, thank you. Ricky just put it in the chat. lsu.edu/LOC handbook. It's Living on Campus handbook. So that is a wonderful resource for you now and throughout the year. If you have any questions about policies or anything, it's great. Let's see, trash and recycle. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, so we have extra bins, and by bins I mean large dumpsters, outside of our buildings to you know, get some of those extra trash and recycling, those boxes that you're breaking down. And so we really want to make sure as you're walking, right, you're taking the elevator up, you're unloading everything, you're flattening those boxes, you're bringing those down the stairs on your way back. My recommendation is if they're in good shape, bring them home with you and then bring them back when it's move out time. But if that is not your you know, story, that's fine. We ask you to pop those in the recycling bin if they're recyclable or the garbage can. We do have these really amazing things called smashers that come through on moving day, and they smash down all the cardboard because it gets pretty tall, right? We're moving in, you know, a little over 7,000 new tigers to campus, and so they will come and smash those down. And then each evening and really early the next morning, we're emptying those dumpsters out as they are getting, right, we're kind of we have a whole team that keeps an eye on those dumpsters and smashing down the trash and then making sure that those are cleared for the next day and sometimes midday as well, depending on kind of what the volume's looking like. So, so yeah, please take those out. We don't want things blocking at fire egress or stairwells or hallways. The lobby also is not, that's not where that is. The lobby is that check-in area, right? So the student comes in, they're the ones that need to go and sign their key slip and get their card and their key and all that good stuff. So yeah, bring that trash outside. Yeah, so we can keep everything clear and moving.
You can ship things to campus after move-in. So all of our students living on campus do have a mailbox at the UPS store in the student union. I pointed like you. It's right across the street. But you won't have that move-in LSU box number you won't have that LSU box number before move-in. So just know that some of our out-of-state friends ship to store and go pick it up around here, around campus. Yeah, around town, yeah. It's dinner time, yeah. I think I'm getting hungry. Also, did you make a store update?
Yeah, I was doing it.
So let me know. So yeah, just make sure that you know that you can ship things here after, and then we still would ask you to recycle that cardboard, those boxes.
And that ship to store piece is a great option too. Make sure that you're planning your arrival time or your appointment for that. And so if you're doing that, maybe that later in the day appointment is better, because then you can get in, get your keys, get what you brought with you, those couple of suitcases, and then go out and come back after we're done with move-in day for that day, and so you can get in and back to the building a little bit faster. Or you arrive earlier, go pick it up, move over, right?
Yeah.
Depending on what you're doing, but make sure you factor in that sort of pickup time into your arrival and your appointment.
I have a question about single students. Yes, absolutely. We have students that arrive by themselves, whether with a vehicle or without. That's totally normal. Our team is ready for you. And so let's say you have a vehicle and you go to the unloading zone. just talk to the RA or the resident, the in-hall staff that's out there and say, hey, I'm leaving my car, there's not gonna be somebody with it because it's just me, and they'll be like, okay, no problem, and they'll make note of that. So we don't want any of our students coming without any family or guests to worry, we got you, if you need help moving things in, we can assist you with that. You need a little bit extra time in the unloading zone because you have to go in and check in and then unload your vehicle. So just make sure that you're communicating with your staff at the building so they know how they can best help you through that process.
As long as you're actively moving and unloading and getting things going, like we'll work with you on those times, right? It's 15 minutes, you still have half your car there, we don't care, get it out of there. That's
Right.
not really how it is. It's really meant to be, all right, move with a sense of purpose and urgency so that folks in the lot can get out of that heat, get themselves inside as well.
Yeah, all right,
Tigers.
1-0. Top of the third, okay.
Love it.
Okay, we have some more questions coming through. That's kind of the overview of move-in, Again, we have it down to the minute, we have it down to the foot by the car. So if you just look at that lsu.edu/move-in website, we have everything there. We'll link to our campus maps. And of course, our team is here to answer any questions afterwards if you have, a call or email, we'll be happy to do that. But we'll share this recording and all the resources for you. So, okay, behind the scenes team, tell me what questions we have that we need to answer when you let's see.
Right, so beds and sizes, so
Okay,
my
beds.
recommendation is, so we mentioned earlier, different places have different beds, are they loftable or not, is to head to our housing website, and you can go specifically right into your building and look at the dimensions, what the beds look like, are they loftable or not, and really kind of plan that and do that now, right, so that before that move-in appointment time and that bed loft cost hits, like you're ready and you know what you're looking at. And you can look at some examples. Our communication does a great job of getting those lovely videos and tours, things like that up and going. But go to our web at housing, lsu.edu/housing, and find your building on there and then go right into those details and look at those dimensions.
Yeah. Let's see.
Oh, I did want to, you talked about the single student piece.
Yeah.
And I also wanted to mention Uber. So if you're rolling in with a
Oh, yeah.
ride share, a cab, an Uber, a Lyft or whatever, our police and parking that are managing that inflow, that kind of like, fire hydrant of humans coming into the lot, and they will send you up our help lane to us. And we have some extra golf carts actually set aside specifically to do that, right? All right, let's get you out of that Uber and Lyft, get your luggage and all that stuff onto this cart, and we'll get you over to that building, so that way you're not sitting there and just racking up money in that ride share. We wanna make sure we're getting you over as fast as possible.
Yeah.
And so as they're pulling you through, if you say I'm in a ride share or a cab, they'll throw you up that central lane, that help lane to us, and we'll get you taken care of.
So we're getting more bed questions. So can we remove furniture, mattresses from the room? No, is the short answer. So all the furniture that we provide has to stay in the room. We're not gonna remove any of it for you. So you have to keep that stuff in the room. So like I have seen, let's see, for example, a student wanted a different mattress. So they just put their current mattress that we provide like under their bed, kind of as like storage, but we can't remove anything.
It just never finds its way back.
Right,
And we don't want that for you at the end of the year.
No, we don't want that at all. And mattress, toppers, headboards, okay, a lot of decorating questions, okay.
Love it, yeah.
So, can you have a mattress topper? Yeah, of course, so a lot of folks have mattress pads, mattress toppers. The next question is usually what size, so most of the beds are twin XL, but some are twin. You can find that detail on your hall's webpage, so you can find exactly what it is. I will say though, even if you have a twin size bed, I would still buy like twin XL sheets, because if you're gonna put that mattress topper and stuff on it, the sheets still, they fit, they're not stretched, that extra little couple of inches. Also, a great tip, you might wanna bring more than one set of sheets.
It's a solid tip, actually.
Right?
Yeah.
I know, not something that a lot of maybe first year students think about, but when you should take your sheets off periodically and wash them. And so when you're washing them, you have a second set of sheets to put on your bed. That also lets your mattress and your mattress topper air out, because when you're sleeping on your mattress and you're sweaty and it might be hot or just
It's gonna be hot.
it's gonna be hot. It's gonna be hot, we're in Louisiana. You know, we wanna make sure that moisture is not forming between that mattress pad and the mattress, it never has a chance to breathe. So make sure that you bring that extra set of sheets so you can air everything out. Another tip one of our students told us, Ainsley, was that she and her suite mates color coded their bath towels. So like, I know, and so it was like, I had all white stuff, you had all blue stuff, Sandy had all yellow stuff, Erin had all purple stuff. So that way you knew like you didn't mix up your towels and stuff, so I thought that was interesting.
Smart.
Yeah.
And speaking of like making sure your room is clean, right, and when we get to some of our break checks, we always have these kind of pieces of like, make sure you're letting your mattress breathe, make sure you're, you know, taking out your garbage and things like that. We do have cleaning schedules in our halls as well. We do have a couple of buildings where in our east and west campus apartments and our apartment communities in general, they do not go in and service those common bathrooms that are shared. Those are your responsibility to do that. But in our halls, there are cleaning services, and your custodians, as you're moving in and getting to know you, you'll start to, they'll let you know like when they're gonna come through and do some of those common or those shared bathroom spaces for the hall bathrooms, but also yes, we do.
Somebody
The
gave us
anonymous update.
the anonymous updates, 2 tigers, thank you.
And so yeah, so there is bathroom cleaning schedules in those residence halls, whether they are hall bath or suite baths.
Yeah.
Our custodians have to go in and clean those on a schedule, daily for the hall baths and
Yeah, weekly.
for the suite baths.
Yeah.
And so yeah,
Now, we do have some first year students in apartments, and so those are not
right,
clean,
and those bathrooms are not, right.
so make sure that you know that distinction. Let's see.
Oh, roommate, we had a question about roommates moving in together.
Okay.
Right, so Catherine and I are both moving into Miller together. We still have to select our own times, right? Just because I'm moving in doesn't mean I can just let Catherine come on in with me.
Right.
Because now that's one, she's not gonna have the right hang time to get in there, and it's gonna clog up some of those move-in flows. And so you can decide that you wanna move in together, at the same time or not. Just something to think about, as if you're both trying to get all your stuff into the door at the same time, get it set up at the same time, tends to be a little trickier. But we also know that sometimes it's, you know, like our whole block of daughters are moving into one together, so we're gonna rent one truck and do what we need to do, and that's fine too. But you would each need to select your own move-in time and make sure that you're doing that individually. It's not a pull-in piece like when you're signing up for housing, right? It's completely individual for your move-in appointment time. So keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Pros and cons to both, just kind of depends on what you wanna do.
And if you do sign up for a time on Friday, that early arrival fee is per student.
Right.
It is not per room. Everything is individual for the student, just like you signed your own housing agreement. If the room assignment is by student, you know, it's all independent of somebody else. So it's not like you, you know, rent a, 4-person suite and, one person's responsible for all of it. It's by the student to make sure for those arrival times that each student is selecting one. And if you select that Friday, that it's per student. Even if one roommate selects Friday, the other roommate, like Kate said, cannot come in on Friday as well. They have to select another. Well, they can't select. They can't come in Friday if they select Friday as well.
It's not a vote.
It's not a,
yeah.
It's not a BOGO.
It's right in 2023.
Yeah. So measurements and tours. Ricky, do you want me to share my screen or do you want to do it?
I can share my screen.
Okay, so we're gonna pull up some of our virtual tours. So for our friends who maybe can't make it to campus for an in-person tour, or now that you've gotten your room assignment, you're really starting to think about what you're gonna actually bring for your room, we have these awesome virtual tours on our webpage, lsu.edu/housing tours, and it'll take you right to it. So you can click on any of the virtual tours, and in the bottom left corner, there's a measurement tool, which is fantastic. You can just measure from point A to point B to know, how wide is my window, how tall is my desk. So that is, gonna be invaluable to you as, it depends on how in depth you wanna get with your options. Like if you don't measure a thing, you're gonna be fine. But like in this example, Ricky is measuring, what do you mean, that's Acadian.
Stick countertop.
Countertop.
The Band-Aid countertop.
Little Band-Aid countertop in Acadian. Yeah.
So if you're trying to do all those lovely like clear bins and getting everything ready to go.
If you're trying to home edit your space.
Yes.
Hi, Clea. Hey, Joanna. Hey, Lauren. So these virtual tours, you can walk through the spaces and kind of see what's going on for all the different spaces. Yeah, it is really cool. All right, let's see, we're winding down on questions, it looks like. I think everybody wants to go watch baseball in the Q&A. All right, let me.
Elevators,
Elevators.
lots of elevator questions.
Elevator questions, what kind of elevator
Do the
questions?
buildings have elevators?
Do they have, oh, you mentioned it.
Yeah,
earlier,
most
yeah.
do, some do not, which should be in like the FAQs, I wanna say, on the website. Our res halls that do not have elevators in them would be the Pentagon buildings, so any of those buildings.
ECA,
ECA, yeah, East
ECA.
Campus Apartments, West Campus Apartments, if you find yourself as a first year building in, or, well, even an upper class student, they don't have those. Broussard? Does, right, okay, I'm like, I always go in the back classroom area where
But
there's
Broussard is
amenities,
so uniquely laid out
Yeah.
that it, depending on where you are in the building, it might be better for you to enter a side door and avoid
And
it.
then if you are in Old Acadian, there's also not an elevator on that side of the building. So there's a handful of building or rooms on Old Acadian side,
Yeah,
and that side of the building does not have an elevator.
yeah,
But I think every other building, because I'm looking at our productions to make sure I'm not lying, has an elevator. And we have elevator tech,
ECA, WCA.
right, we did that,
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
And we have elevator techs that are on campus all of the
Okay.
weekend, both weekends, because obviously we're putting a lot of strain and stress on those elevators. And so if we have a break or an outage or something like that, they are there like ready to go. And that's why it's kind of, so we really try to do like an up elevator and then down those stairs as able, so that we are moving those. And we try to have some staff near the elevator to make sure that we're not holding the door for too long, because that will certainly cause it to have a moment and need to reset itself.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
Mhm.
We'll back up.
Okay,
So the moving, we don't have moving volunteers in that way, we have move-in volunteers that like help orchestrate, like, hey, come on in here, hey, go this way, move your car here, but they do not physically move your belongings for you, that is on y'all to get going. We have those lovely bins, but they will not bring your stuff or unload your cars for you, that is for you and your team to do.
yeah,
Just wanna make sure that they are a move-in crew of like, hey, welcome to move in, here's where you need to go, turn here, park here, go ahead and move your car, here's your key, like that kind of stuff, but they don't physically move your belongings to help you unload that.
yeah. We're getting some parking questions, so, once you unload your car, and then once campus reopens on Monday for normal operations, you wanna make sure that if you have a vehicle and you live on campus, that you have that you're parked in a resident zone 3 lot. And you can register for those, let's see, students start, July 11th? Yeah, it looks like you can start to register for your parking permits, July 11th. And that information will come from Parking and Transportation Services, where you can log in and select your parking permit. So again, July 11th, so it's 2 big dates, July 11th, parking, July 12th, tire park. So those are.
Let's do them both by July 11th.
Yeah,
Good to go.
there you go. Let's see, moving things out of your fall, spring.
So when you, right, so your housing contract is for that academic year, right? So the fall and the spring, so you don't have to like do another one to make sure you have the same space in the spring. And we don't make you move all your things out at fall break either, so we get to winter break, like your stuff stays in the room, have a little checklist of like, make sure the garbage is out, you clear your linens off your bed, things like that. Make sure
All your
there's
fridge.
right, and so. But you don't, you'll get emails and there'll be floor meetings and move out and closing posters for winter break. But you do not have to come and take all their stuff back with you. If you wanna do a wardrobe change, by all means, but you certainly don't have to, look, I'm from the north, so like it's the same wardrobe all year round. But you don't have to move all of your things out when you transition to fall to spring, that is your space unless you decide that you need to make other plans, but yeah.
A couple, let's say, okay, bed rails, so we talked about bed lofting requests, that'll be during the move-in arrival appointment. Bed rails, we're not taking early requests for those have to be requested by the student once you arrive at the building. And so we have limited supply of bed rails, so it's first come, first serve. And it is 1 per student, right? So if you request a bed rail, then your bed would be against the wall and then you would have 1 rail, you don't get 2 bed rails. So just make sure that you know that you can request that bed rail once you get to campus after you move in. But the loft, you can do ahead of time through those July dates. So I answer that one live.
So the activity, so someone asked if there will be activities on campus for the students during moving weekend. So some of those activities will begin Saturday evening, and they're pretty low key. I don't know if they haven't scheduled the whole weekend, but like that Saturday night last year was like a dive and movie and PU rec, right? So a pretty chill thing. It's not required, right? There's nothing welcome week required until that Monday. And so that's why we have movement that happens that Friday, Saturday, Sunday. There are a couple of low-key social events Saturday and Sunday for folks that are there, to kind of engage and keep them busy. And then when we hit Sunday evening, like it is 4 meetings, you have opening 4 meetings that evening. And then there's, it's like a get to know LSU and Louisiana kind of purple and gold fest, I wanna say is what it was called last year. But there are daytime events, there's certain small group pieces that you wanna make sure you're going to, and it talks really about setting up an academic foundation for you as a college student here at LSU. How to become a learner, and really kind of incorporate that into your practice. And right, it's a great thing to be at LSU and wanna make sure you get the most out of it. And so there's some small group pieces those first few days, and some other like, tour campus on where your classes are, and get to know some of your academic college pieces. And in the evenings, there are social events pretty much every single evening from Saturday night until the first day of classes. And so a couple of those that we, help sponsor, like a phone party one night, RHA or Russ Hall Association does a big block party. They'll do like the class photo one evening, a big carnival, and there's all kinds of fun stuff that week for folks to do. And your RAs that are in your halls, and as you start to meet some of those new, what will end up being lifelong friends in your hall, they'll help get you connected and get you over those pieces. So tons of events for folks.
Lots of events. Okay, winter break, Thanksgiving, fall. So the residence halls do close over winter break. So at Christmas time, they do close. So folks living in our residence halls do have to leave and vacate the buildings at winter break. You can leave your belongings, you just don't have access to it till January, right?
Right.
And so we just say like, make sure you take everything you can possibly need, because we shut the buildings down, give our staff a break, the student staff. And so then you can come back in January and move back in. On-campus apartments remain open throughout the break.
Right.
And so you don't have to move out if you are in an on-campus apartment. So I saw that question.
There are limited services, right? There's no dining over winter breaks.
Right.
And there are some spots in the union that will stay open, but on the holiday days they will close. And so you want to make sure, and that stuff will be linked in some of those closing floor meetings. But Thanksgiving break, fall break, those like couple of days in October, and spring break, we don't close, and so you can go home if you want. There's no classes, but the halls will remain open. Dining halls will adjust some schedules, but will be open. Unless it's like the actual holiday, so the actual holiday of Thanksgiving, or like Mardi Gras or things like that. But, but we do not close the halls other than winter break, like Catherine said.
Questions about let's see, TVs, okay, like appliances. So again, that Living on Campus handbook is gonna be a great resource for you to get the specifics about what you can and can't bring. But just some high points that I'm seeing some questions about, refrigerators, microwaves, TVs. So microwaves, our rules are 1 per student in the room. So if you're in a 2-student room, you could each have a mini fridge, but that's up to you if you want to share one or each have one. So that's one of those conversations you can have with your roommate ahead of time. But the refrigerator is up to 5 cubic feet, and the microwave is up to 1,000 watts. So those are the sizes for the fridge and the microwave. And those are really the most popular things I think we see appliance wise coming in at move-in. Coffee makers are air fryers. Everything has to have an automatic shut off, like coffee makers and all that. TVs, yes, you can have a TV. There is 1 active cable port in each residence hall or in the apartment living room, right? Yeah, the living room has the active port. So you can connect it with an Ethernet, a coax cable for cable, right? Yeah. All tech terms. So if you do bring a TV, you want to connect it to the cable, which is included in your in the rate for the room. So you can bring your TV and just make sure you bring that coax cable. And again, if you're in a rest hall room, make sure you test both ports. There might be 2 ports in the room, but only 1 is active. So before you submit that IT work order, make sure you test both of them.
Especially if you're moving things around or
Yeah.
finagle it a different way.
Yeah. I know we have probably a lot of folks like are into gaming and whatnot, so make sure you look in the Living on Campus handbook for how to connect certain devices. You know, you will definitely want to bring an Ethernet cord in case the Wi-Fi goes out. You can connect to the Ethernet port in your room from your computer, your laptop, whatever. So that's a big thing we don't see a lot of folks remembering to bring, but it's really, really helpful.
Especially if you're doing a lot of gaming, you wanna make sure you have a strong connection,
Yeah.
Internet's definitely the way to go.
Yeah, and you'll get instructions at MoveIn about how to like register certain devices and such, so we're not gonna go into that super detailed level tonight, but all that information will be given to you, when it's timely for you to know.
Yeah.
Wireless connections for printers in the room, talk some more about appliances. So the LSU wireless system does not allow like other wireless devices to use it, like wireless printers in residence halls. And so if you do bring your own printer for your room, that's fine, just make sure you have the cord to connect it to your laptop. You won't be able to print wirelessly in your room or down to the computer lab in your residence hall. And you also cannot bring your own, modem, like a hotspot? No, you can't have it.
A router.
Router, I'm not techie, a router. So sometimes you have friends try to bring personal routers in. And so they have a higher, speed, but then that actually slows down the entire area around them.
Yeah.
And then our IT staff has to play detective and figure out where's the road
We
router.
have some like router heat maps and stuff.
Right, yeah.
You don't wanna do that.
Don't be that guy, then, you're slowing down everybody else trying to do their homework. So yeah, if you're gonna have a printer, make sure that you have that cord to connect it. So that's good. Nope, you can't print wirelessly to the lab.
So one folks will pull it on a flash drive or, email and head on down and get it going.
Yes,
But
but
we're trying to
one box.
work out some of those like service printers in the halls for this fall, we're doing some upgrades there. But it won't be a wireless printer because it'll strain the system too much.
Yeah.
They're like 500 people all trying to get it done at the same time.
Right. So, okay, but a roomie after, okay. So this question says, I found a roomie after I selected my room. How do I get to live with them if I can? So it just depends on if we have space available, right? We want you to be happy, we want you to be with your roommate, but right now, it's a giant puzzle and most of the pieces are in place. So unless it's a one-to-one swap, we might have a hard time getting all together, and especially in a preferred location. So if you have somebody that you found that you want to room with, ask, okay, where are you living, and see if your roommates will swap, so then y'all can be together. So that's gonna be the best way, that's gonna be the best way. Did you use that?
Yeah. So we also, in terms of like bathroom cleaning, right, so Spruce is one of those rose halls with the suite bathrooms that would have its bathroom cleaned, right? It's just those apartments that do not have those bathrooms cleaned. And in terms of toilet paper, we do provide toilet paper, depending on your, your preference, you may wanna upgrade that toilet paper, right? But that is completely your business, but they do provide, like a standard toilet paper, in those, and so. And as your students go, our custodial staff, as Catherine mentioned earlier, they're phenomenal, and they'll get to know your students, they're in their spaces cleaning and just getting to know them and checking on them, and they become kind of, like, I don't know, house moms and dads to your students a little bit, and so, if they have needs or things like that, they can work with them and certainly can submit work orders, but they're pretty attentive on like what's going on and what the bathrooms are needing at the moment, so.
A couple of folks have asked about laundry, and so yes, all of the facilities have, all the residence halls have laundry facilities, and so it's $1.50 to wash and $1.50 to dry. You can use quarters, or you can use your Tiger card and then swipe with that. You can use Tiger Cash on your Tiger card. You can
It
use.
just doesn't disappear there, you gotta add
It
Tiger
doesn't.
Cash. And then, right, so small points don't translate to one,
Right.
only, just,
Yeah, true, all true. So you can use just detergent pods, any brand, or liquid detergent. Right, no, it can be powder in the apartments, is that right?
Yeah, cause it's a top and not a front loader.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah. So if you live in one of the apartments, you can use powder as well, but in the residence halls, I think it's just pods and liquid. Yeah.
Yes.
Any brand, yeah, sorry, didn't mean to plug Tide there.
In terms of sending stuff to the hall, so we don't do mail at the buildings. And I think somebody earlier asked, like, like, can I start sending stuff to the halls, right? So after we get through that first week, or that first move-in, right? If you have perishables, flowers, things like that, a cheesecake, 99 Grace came home. But you can send those things, and our service desks will assist in getting that student, getting hold of them to come on down and get it. But actual mail and packages, we do not accept at the res halls or the apartments, and so that needs to go to that union mailbox number that you'll get once you get here. And so they don't accept any mail until after that move-in week. And of course, you just had, nearly 9,000 Tigers joining us over those 2 weekends to campus, and so we do ask, give them a little bit of grace if they're getting all these packages all at once.
Yeah.
There are certain Amazon lockers, at a couple of locations in town as well, and so that might be, if you have something that you really, really need in that first week or two, the mail tends to get pretty overwhelmed with all of the different packages, books, and things like that are coming in. And so I would recommend, if you're having stuff, get it sent home, earlier, and then roll through, or try to, tap into some of those Amazon lockers nearby.
Yeah.
But the halls will take perishable stuff during the hours of the service desk.
Yeah.
Air fryers and appliance, it comes to that automatic shop and the open coil piece, right? So it's like your standard old school air fryer should be fine, but some of those newer ones that kind of lean more toaster oven-y, those would not be, right? If you're like, oh, I can see the red glowing, that's probably not a line. And so, right, because that red glow means danger sometimes with, you've got lovely linens and draperies, things like that you set up, and we don't want to have a situation. So that definitely is, but they're in that living on campus handbook that Catherine mentioned earlier. We'll have all of those, like what's allowed, what's not allowed, in your dorm rooms, and so, and there are, on the appliances piece, there are refrigerators in the building, like in the kitchens, but again, that's like a community kitchen. Well, not every kitchen.
Not in the rest halls?
Oh, I'm thinking of our staff ones.
Yeah, you are. Just kidding.
Yeah, there's some lovely programs, and so they have to refrigerate in here.
Yes.
So there are not main refrigerators in the building. If you want to have like a mini fridge in your room, that's something you need.
Yeah.
Fair point. Apartments, yes, you have fridges.
We're getting a lot of questions about bugs. Christina, I mean, it's a valid question, especially if you were from out of state. I mean, are there bugs in Louisiana? Absolutely. They're just are, especially near the lakes and all that, where critters like to live and come inside. So we do quarterly pest control in all of our facilities, whether it's residence halls or apartments, so that's interior and exterior. And so if you do see a bug problem, we want to encourage our students to learn how to put in a work order, not just for bug problems, for everything. So any facility issue that the student may have, they can put in a work order through their housing portal. And so we always say, if you see something that doesn't look right, please let us know so we can fix it. The worst thing is for us to see a broken fan and move out and we're like, oh, we didn't know about that, we gotta fix that. Yeah, they have a better experience. So if your student is having some sort of pest issue, put in a work order and we'll come and check it out. So I mean, are you allowed to have your own roach spray and stuff? I think so, right?
You are, yeah. I would make sure that you're talking with your roommates and stuff like that. Making sure it's not gonna set up anybody's allergies or things like that. But yeah, you certainly are, yeah.
You're welcome, Christina, I see you.
Yeah.
I see you out there. Are there trash bins in the rooms? No. There are trash rooms in the hallways, there are dumpsters outside the buildings. Yeah, a garbage can. So if you want your own little garbage can, bring it for your room. We entered that live. Let's see, what else? Got Miller. Miller Mansion is great. An anonymous attendee. Humidifiers and air purifiers. Let's see. I'm trying to think if there are restrictions on size or anything that I can remember from the handbook.
I don't think so. We don't want folks taking stuff over the vents because that messes with the airflow and actually does more damage than assist and things. And I think sometimes our folks that are lakefront properties may get, bad. Are there allergens everywhere? Yes, right, like we are, I mean, even if we weren't in Louisiana, right, there are. I was in the Pacific Northwest, and there's a whole other stuff. And so it's just right when you're near lakes or more trees and things like that, sometimes maybe those come a little bit more into the system, but yeah, I don't think there's a restriction on like size or things. But just we ask that you're not like covering up vents or
Yeah.
pushing like your bed and like a whole sheet and then blocking of that airflow,
Right.
because that's how we keep those buildings and those rooms and that air circulating as it should be.
Yeah, so yeah, you definitely can have air purifiers, humidifiers, but it can't help the air, but what helps the most is the second a student sees that like there's some sort of air quality issue or there's some moisture imbalance, that we know about it. Because then we can have our custodial team go in, look for visual presence of any mildew. Is it mildew? Is it just dust with dirt on it? We can clean that off, and then we can, if we need to bring in EHS to test, we can. We do that, but we quite often there's really nothing
The
there.
faster we know about it, the better we can adjust that. Yeah.
Exactly.
And see if it's an imbalance or if it, I threw my shower shoes in my closet.
Yeah,
and
so
closed
they
it
were
for
wet.
a month or something like that.
Yeah. And so also that goes back to how important it is to submit work orders. So if the student feels like, let's say the air feels really humid, it's not a normal level of humidity in the room. They submit that work order and we see like, okay, let's take a look at this. But then if we see 3 other rooms on that hallway have submitted similar things, then we know, okay, we need to first look at this, is it a systemic thing? And it kind of helps us rule out some things and get quicker resolution. So really helping your students learn to submit those work orders is so important. And you'll hear us talk about it all the time.
And they try to do an average response time of 48 to 72 hours at the
Yeah.
latest. And that's really, I would argue, when we're in like peak,
Yeah,
right, like everybody moves in, everybody wants bed rails and things like that, when we're in a peak where it might be a couple extra. But really those, and they know what to prioritize, right, like a lock not working or something like that, that's gonna be an immediate response. And that's why we have our staff that are on call and the staff in the lobby doing those check-ins, so that you can run back down and be like, hey, this is going on in my space. And we can work to get some folks that are on site, right?
Yeah.
That move-in weekend, we're all here
Yeah.
all weekend, at every kind of position, so.
Yeah. Also talking about, your belongings and like you said, you throw your, sweaty tennis shoes from the rack in your closet, close it with a wet towel, might have some growth there. Protecting your belongings is really important. And so we just wanna make sure that you're prepared for that, right? You agree to the housing agreement, and there are stipulations about what we're responsible for and what you're responsible for. And we wanna make sure that tires and their families are having those conversations about renter's insurance. Should you get it? Are your belongings covered under homeowner's insurance? Those important questions to ask before you move in, so that way if something happens and their property is damaged, in addition to, if we have to go through LSU risk management, we have that avenue, and you also have your own personal renter's insurance. So Grad Guard is an option that is through the housing application. You can always go back and access that on the forms tab and then in your housing portal. We're also gonna add that information to our resident resources page. So as our Tigers transition from incoming students, new students to, okay, now you're a resident, you live here, you're a resident of our communities, you're a community member, we're really gonna start pushing you to that resident resources webpage. And Ricky's gonna drop that in the chat in the Zoom, and we can put it in we can add it to our Facebook comments as well. But that is like a one-stop shop for residents, from work orders, getting involved, academic resources, connecting with your in-hall staff. If there's only one page that I could send a resident, it would be that one, because it has everything there you could possibly need. So make sure you go and check that out, because it'll really help you get prepared for living on campus.
Yeah.
Let's see.
This one is.
I don't know, do we go lighter or more serious first? Which one?
Serious.
All right, we'll do serious.
All right, so it was a question about like hurricane protocols. So we have a very elaborate hurricane protocol for our staff and kind of what happens there. Obviously we are in season now, and so we are starting to kind of monitor the Gulf and its friends out in the world, seeing what's kind of happening. But we do a really great job, I think, of, and as an out-of-stater myself, of really kind of notifying folks like, hey, we're about a week out and maybe there's some stuff going on, we'll start to kind of put that on our staff's radars for my staff that's in the hall, and we're the ones running the hall and managing those emergency operations. And then we get a little bit closer and the path maybe becomes a little more clear.
Yeah.
We'll do some communications to residents, hey, you can move your car into the garage or things like that. There's a reason to be rain. If we really get into a piece where we are, like, hey, we've got a storm coming. The good thing about Baton Rouge and LSU is we are at a higher point in town, and so, it's a fairly safe place to be, all things considered. But of course, you never know, it's nature, there's,
You can't predict it.
you can't predict what's gonna happen and where the path is gonna go, you do your best, and the day of it, it shifts, right? And so, but we do, some, we call censuses, who's all in the building, right, just so we know, right, so we have a lot of folks that are local, or maybe they're heading home with their roommate who's local, or things like that, or it happens to be over fall break or something, where you're already headed home. And so we do have our RAs that kind of check in, with the residents, like who's here, who's not here, just so we kind of know. We have contingency plans with our dining staff, we have custodians, maintenance, myself at my level, that will stay overnight on campus in our offices or some other temp housing. Should there be something, because storms never come during the middle of the day, they're always overnight. And so that way we can kind of set standards for what's going on. And if we have any like bigger needs, like we communicate those as soon as we know those to residents, and tell them what to expect. If we have to shut doors, like don't go outside, right? Things like that. We do a lot of that communication through some flyers and, texts and emails and things of that nature. So
For parents, I will say that the LSU Emergency Operations Center, so the EOC, really kind of takes over whenever there's some sort of crisis. And so any messaging, any questions will go through that EOC, and that's how we funnel up our needs and our issues, and then they funnel down information to everybody else as well, internal campus and external parents as well. So the EOC will provide incredible updates. It'll be on the homepage of the website. It'll be on social media. So you'll have lots of avenues.
and all the social media will kind of redirect to that.
Yeah, talking about advice for hurricanes and things to have. One, is take everything with a grain of salt, right? We're talking about social media. If there's something that's really wrong, please come to the EOC and not to social media to kind of talk about it. So take everything with a grain of salt that you read. Not everything's 100% true or all the sides are there. So if there is something that the university needs to know about, please communicate it through the official channels. As far as supplies for students, I think we have a lot of out-of-state parents tonight, so we're getting a lot of hurricane questions.
Yeah,
I know you might be nervous.
I get
That's
it.
fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, if a hurricane is coming, we do recommend that you get bottled water, you get snacks, non-perishable snacks. Don't eat all your snacks the first day. That's the biggest rookie mistake we see, right? You get all these snacks and then you eat them in 24 hours and then you don't have any more snacks. So pace out the snacks. Make sure you have a can opener if you have canned food to eat. That's another one. Flashlights, yes, it's always good to have, a flashlight just
Portable
in case.
chargers for your
Portable
phone.
chargers, that's a big one too. And so we have generators on campus, but they're life safety generators, which is an important distinction to make. It's not like comforts of home generators, so it would just be this life safety at this point. So just know that, you'll be safe, but you might not have, as comfortable of a time with, AC and whatnot.
Right.
But we do get it back pretty quickly.
Yeah, and most of our campus is on a different grid, with that AC piece. We do have a couple that aren't, but we work, pretty quickly for look, it's been a few days and we're at heat indexes of 100, we'll work to have daytime access to another building and things like that, so. Which reminds me, there was a question on here about, do I get access to every building? Did you answer that one? I just triggered my,
I didn't say that one, no. So we have a question, common mistakes what to avoid on move-in day. So many.
Yeah, I think I'll give a real one and then a more heartfelt one. So They're not heartfelt. So my biggest piece of advice is to follow those directions, right?
Yeah,
Like you might be like, oh, I know a faster way, and you probably do, but it's made like Heather said, it's made this way intentionally so that we are staging and pre-staging and moving you through a pattern. So really look at that in advance. And if you do nothing else and just get to the staging lot at the time you're supposed to, then while you're sitting in your car waiting, you can look at that website and figure that out then, that's fine. But like follow those directions, follow those signs, and have patience and know that like everything is done intentionally, and you'll get there. My heartfelt one is really to just have a moment to enjoy the experience. I think it's hot, it's hectic, maybe your tiger's having a rough time dealing with it emotionally, and so they just decided to not speak to you that day or whatever. Right, and so that happens often, and so it's a lot of emotions, sometimes those come out in different ways, and so just take a minute to really kind of be there, be present with your student. Or your parents that are, or your family members, or your little siblings that are like seeing college as an option for them for the first time. It's a really special moment. We really want to make that a fun one to have. So try to find those snapshots throughout the day to kind of be like, oh my gosh, this is so cool and so fun. And now, oh my gosh, how are we gonna get to what we need to get? It'll all happen. It'll all get there. Your home will be lovely. But take a moment to enjoy it.
yeah, I think that's good advice, take a deep breath, you know, those emotions can run so high. But it's such a fun day and it's such a memory, we love it, and so I agree, Kate, yeah, take a deep breath, enjoy it, find those moments. I would say less is more too, you know, like
You can accumulate stuff during walking week.
right, you know, we see these like huge, you know, van stuff coming in, I'm like, I don't know where they're gonna put all that stuff, or like, is it full, is it half full, I don't know. But, you know, I think less is more. Having a perfectly decorated room isn't everything, right? That's not gonna dictate if you're successful in college or not. You do whatever's gonna make you feel the most comfortable in your home. That's what matters, not what everybody else is doing. So just make sure that, you know, you're kind of doing you, take a deep breath, and you just have fun with it. I would say also that as hard as it is to say, I'm a parent, my kids are still pretty young, but, you know, also just say those goodbyes and go, you know, make that clean break. And I know that's so hard to hear, but
Labor Day's around the corner in a couple weeks.
yeah, family weekends, it's not a long way, but you know, for parents, you know, say those goodbyes and then let your student experience welcome week, experience campus. I feel sad for students who, you know, spend those first couple of nights not in their residence hall. They maybe stay at a hotel with their parents, or maybe they live close by here and they stay there more than interacting with their community. And it's those first couple of days that are so crucial to getting to know everybody, because everybody's in the same boat. Most of you don't know each other, you're going to your floor meetings, you're going to programs together, and that's how you make those connections for the whole year, for your college career. So as hard as that is, but I guess for students too, to say goodbye, you know, I want to stay here, for parents say, okay, goodbye. Just, you know, kind of have an exit plan.
It's a great,
Have an exit plan.
exit strategy.
Exit strategy.
And exit buddy.
Yeah.
That's great, we had a question about can you buy over-the-counter medicine on campus, so we do have a couple of like, go outtake like little vending machines and things like that. And then the student health center, of course, has some pieces, there's some pharmacies nearby, and Our Lady of the Lake, right? With the student health services they're starting this kind of new prescription delivery service piece, but it's really kind of meant to be like a DoorDash kind of or some other, I'm not trying to endorse see me off screen, but really it's where like they can arrange it, that they're getting their prescriptions filled through the student health center, that they can arrange like, hey, Catherine will be by at 4 o'clock and meet them outside of their dorm to pick up that prescription. But we don't sell them in the halls and things like that, so there are certain, like, you know, there's a couple of like outtake little convenience kind of stores that have like maybe ibuprofen or some Advil or things like that, but it's not gonna be.
Right. And there's the Thurns Market on campus as well, so there's the Thurns grocery store,
CVS not too far.
there's a CVS right off campus. So there's some options like that as well, all right, I think we're winding down, y'all. We're about an hour and a half in. Lewis, you know what? Who's that? Lewis?
We'll work on that.
Lewis Williams, yes. Will tissue be provided?
Tissues
Look,
for parents.
if I find you, I will have tissues ready for you. Somebody remind me to, I'm gonna write your name down. I'll tell you what we used to do, oh my gosh, that's old. We used to have a banana split party for the parents. Tigers, and it was like, time to go, and they gave out little tissues. We had the parent family program to remember it, so it was like, all right, time to go, split, it was cute. It was really cute, so, let's see. Mhm. You're welcome, Sean. All right, y'all, I haven't gotten a game update recently, but I think we're about to head home and catch the Tigers in the World Series. But a lot of the questions that we're seeing coming now have been answered previously or can be found on that Living on Campus handbook. The link is in the chat, and it's just lsu.edu/LOC handbook, and that will be emailed out to folks, or has it already been sent? It's already been sent. Awesome. It's already been sent to your students' LSU email account. So thank you all so much for tonight. Great job behind the scenes, team. You did a wonderful job answering questions. As always, if you have anything else after tonight, make sure you email us, housing@lsu.edu. Is that it?
Russia.
That's right.
So excited to have y'all on your Tigers here soon.
Go Tigers.